federal policies do you believe will most effectively reduce costs for middle income and working families?
Yeah, can you repeat the first part of the question?
Everything sucks economically. Inflation, insurance, housing. What federal policies do you believe will most effectively reduce costs for middle income and working families?
Right. First of all, like I said, I think we need to raise the minimum wage. At a federal level, it's been the same since 2009. It's still at $7.25 an hour. Now, each state can have a higher minimum wage, but the fact that the federal minimum wage is that low is embarrassing. I mean, that should be higher. And it, now Florida should have a higher minimum wage, but that is a state thing, not a federal thing. And also at a federal level, I think we should ban corporations from investing in single-family homes, because I think that when you have corporations investing in single-family homes, prices rise, and regular people like me and a lot of people here can't compete with them. And it is projected that by 2030, which is only 4 years away, corporations are projected to own between 40 and 60% of family homes. So that's going to suck for a lot of us. So I think we have to ban them from investing on single-family homes so prices can be better for the average buyer. So yeah, raising the minimum wage and banning corporations from buying and investing in single-family homes, I think would really help a lot of people.
I'm also a proponent of raising the minimum wage. We've been sold this lie that if you raise the minimum wage, that it's somehow in itself inflationary, and that's not borne out by any economic truth. When you raise the minimum wage and people have more economic security, they have more money, they spend more money, that leads to, in turn, more community growth, not just community growth in terms of commerce and small business, but also savings as well. So I think that that's a phenomenal start. In particular, when we're dealing with the housing affordability crisis, we need to really decrease our insurance rates. In the state of Florida, the insurance companies have pretty much a monopoly. They use our weather as an excuse, but you notice that even though we didn't have any catastrophic storms in Florida this year, your rates still went up regardless of weather, right? So what you see is a series of corporations trying to make up for their losses in previous years, and that underlines the problem. The problem is a profit-driven narrative where these corporations do what they can to gouge us, not necessarily to make it affordable to live in the state of Florida. There's something called an ISO rating in particular, and that is a metric that insurance companies use to determine your rates. One thing that is very important in the ISO is the response rate and the response time for public safety. So by earmarking federal funds specifically for firefighters and police, you paint a box for the Republican opposition to have to come out against public safety. And by making sure that those funds get to Hillsborough County, if we can decrease the response time, in particular for fire responding and fire emergencies, we can substantially decrease our homeowners insurance.
What we're running for Congress, so we're actually addressing the issue at the national level when it comes to funding. But one of the things that I've discovered working as a county commission is the partnership with the federal government as well as nonprofits to get things done that actually impact communities. By crucifying and destroying the infrastructure bill, as we reduce the ability to invest in our communities, to create jobs, to build sustainable communities, to address our power grid and offer alternative energy sources for homeowners, we actually have allowed our federal government to undercut all of the opportunities that each individual in the state of Florida can do to lower their overall housing costs. We've killed the partnerships and the funding for our Hope Trust that allowed for building affordable housing projects. We've actually allowed the state to tell our local economies and leadership on how to build communities in order to not address the density that we need, but also to sprawl all over the areas and harm our economy. So by eliminating those partnerships, those what they call 3P partnership opportunities, and utilizing investing in our infrastructure, investing in our transit and transportation systems, that our local state will not use federal dollars to invest in our infrastructure to allow you to do a little bit less driving and a lot more using of transit like we do in other states that have invested in our transit infrastructure. Will actually bring the overall cost to homeowners down. And as I mentioned, with Homeland Security under that also follows FEMA. When the insurance companies realize there's no rescue, when there's no resources or partnership at the federal level to develop emergencies, they're gonna charge whatever they charge. And they're gonna buy whatever loyalty vote they get in Tallahassee. So it's critically important that we open up that accountability, require insurance companies to keep the premiums that they collect in this state, and restore FEMA so that we're able to address the high cost of insurance in our state.
Along with raising minimum wage and stopping and banning corporations from the buying of homes and so forth, I would like to explore infrastructure improvements. One thing I've learned a lot from speaking to folks, whether in the community or when I make calls and so on, is that a lot of people have had to move or are planning to move because they can't afford to remain living here. And costs should never be, that should not be it, not because of your personal circumstances, but because of what the government is doing, whether it's state or on the federal level. So I want to look into infrastructure improvements so that so you have less of the need, there's less of a need. You may still have to some degree as far as insurance, but you have less of a need, or there's less risk as far as any kind of damage or things like that. Nothing like that to chase you out of the state, basically. But also, as far as with insurance companies, I want to go a step further than that and prevent, get to a place where we can prevent them from being able to, number one, charge whatever they want to charge, but not allow them to say, okay, well, if we can't do it here, we'll just go somewhere else. No, this is going to be, if you're going to be here, we're going to stop you from going anywhere else also, so that you can't, so that you're not able to just, pack up and go and sort of hold our residents hostage and, with the high costs and things like that. So I think, along with what was said already up here, is that we have to make sure they can't play that game where they can just go away. Rather than doing that, they can, do what's right and make sure we are all taken care of and so forth.